The US Secretary of State John Kerry and his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov, along with a host of other regional foreign ministers, are set to meet in Switzerland this Saturday to resume their talks to bring about a more lasting ceasefire. The Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has, however, vowed to push on with his operation to retake Aleppo from the rebels. On Friday, he said that if his forces succeeded, it would be a very important springboard to pushing what he called terrorists back to Turkey. Let's take a listen.
You have to clean, you have to keep cleaning this area and to push the terrorists to Turkey to go back to where they come from or to kill them. There's no other options. So, but Aleppo is going to be a very important springboard to do this move.
Well, for more on Russia's position in this conflict, we can speak now live to our Moscow correspondent, Thomas Lowe. Thomas, what's Sergei Lavrov hoping to achieve from these talks in Lausanne this Saturday?
Well, it's really going to build on what Russia's been speaking about for a long time here. The real kernel, the crux of the Russian position is that Syria has to be, that terrorists have to be removed from Syria at all costs. And I think that's a genuinely held position. Moscow has long been concerned about a slow burning insurgency in the North Caucasus, that's in the southwest of Russia, and thousands, it's thought, of people from Chechnya have gone to fight alongside al-Nusra Front, alongside the Islamic State group in Syria. And Russia's very concerned that if those militants are to come back into Russia, if they're allowed to survive after the Syria conflicts, they could wreak havoc in Russia, in the country. But of course, the second point here is that Russia considers all militants in Syria as terrorists, not just al-Nusra Front, not just Islamic State. And we've seen that they're not particularly concerned either about civilian casualties or about bombs being dropped on schools or on hospitals.
Thomas, as we heard earlier, President Assad has given that interview to Russian media, and he had quite a specific message to share about the conflict, didn't he?
That's right. I mean, what Bashar al-Assad said here to the tabloid newspaper, Komsomolskaya Pravda, now this interview was released this morning, Moscow time, people are waking up to read it, really reflects the Russian talking points on Syria, and I think that really should come as no surprise, given that the Syrian regime, the Assad government, is very much reliant on Russia's airstrikes in Syria, given that their army, their forces are really very weak. They're very dependent on the airstrikes to take territory and to try and hold it. But perhaps the most interesting thing that came out of this interview is that he started, he says, to see this conflict in Syria as part of very large tensions that are increasing between Russia and the US. He sees this war in Syria as part of a much wider battle for influence between those two countries. And as you heard in that clip there, he's talking about as well the importance of Aleppo and how he feels that Aleppo must be taken to act as a springboard to take other cities around the place and to push terrorists, he said, back into Turkey. Syria's definition of terrorists mirrors that of Russia's. All those militants who oppose Syria, he says, are terrorists. Of course, there was absolutely no mention in this interview of there was no mention at all in this interview of peace negotiations. And of course, when Lavrov and the American Secretary of State meet in Switzerland on Saturday, I mean, it doesn't really set it up well for that, does it?